All right, we are ready to go. So, number one, I told you all this just a second ago. Remember, you're updating your Google Keep to-do list. You're keeping up with kind of what you're doing. We said we're going to keep doing this and kind of force it through this week, and then it'll become optional later, but you need to be doing it this week to practice. The next thing I already talked to the group in here about, but I'll reiterate to them and inform you that I have put grades in for your Odyssey packet reading, okay? Let's go and look at that grade really quick. It is found, and you don't have to go there. You can just watch it on my screen, or if you're in the room, you just watch it up here. But if you go to your grade book, you can find it. But it is under the Odyssey, and it's actually on the bottom. You won't be able to see all these red emblems and everything, but it's right here. But what it says is, for this assignment, you turn in your reading for the Odyssey. You will receive the following grade from this. So 10 points was agency for just turning it in. So as long as you just turned it in, you got 10 points, okay? 20 points was for actually going through and annotating with me each section. So I was doing this, and you were supposed to be taking notes, and I kind of like made sure told you every day to do that. So that was 5 points per section, 1 through 4. And then there was like almost a test grade or quiz grade for you to do that on section 5 on your own. I read it to you all, and we read it together, but you were supposed to do that on your own. Okay, you did this independently. You turn that in. Now, if you did not turn it in, you got a 0 on both of those, and it was a big grade. So you can still turn that into me as a late grade until the end of this project, okay? So you got about a week and a half, okay, to turn that in, because we'll probably be finishing and wrapping up this project next week, okay? So I'll take it as late. Now, you get a late grade on it, but I won't accept it after the end of this project. So you need to turn it in if you haven't turned it in. And there's not a ton of people that haven't, but a few. If you need another copy of it, I have a few copies. You just need to email me or let me know when you're in class, okay? There's also the online version if you want to take digital notes and submit the PDF, which would probably be pretty cumbersome, but you're welcome to try that. All right, going back to the agenda. We are continuing to work on No Red Ink. Yesterday or Tuesday, I went over in detail, kind of covering fanboys and information concerning fanboys. We're going to continue working on that. If you have specific questions, let me know. I can go over that information. We are going to have a quiz tomorrow covering that. Another note is that on Tuesday, I told you that you'd have through Wednesday to submit benchmark 2, which was your Heroes, Civilization, Religion assignment. You need to have that complete to be able to finish the project, because on the final profile for the hero, I'm going to have you write a section about your hero's religion, okay, which is the civilization's religion. So if you haven't done that, you're going to have to do it again later. So if you have it done, it's going to make it much easier. So you need to make sure benchmark 2 is complete, okay? There's not really going to be time today in class to work on that, but you need to make sure you have it done. I put zeros in if you do not. And then today we're going to cover the workshop 5 things of geography. You're going to take notes on that. You're going to update your chem chart, which you should have in your folder wherever you keep things for this class. We're going to update that with our geography terms. Some of y'all went ahead and started figuring out all of the keywords and information. That's fine, but I'm going to give you the 5 themes of geography on there. And then we're going to complete benchmark 3, mapping your hero civilization, which you have your paper on. So right now I'm going to turn it over to you all to work on No Red Ink. If you have questions, you can jump out into the video and ask me. I'll be walking around the class while this is going on. So let me know if you need help. Again, the quiz is tomorrow. So I'm going to give you about 10, 15 minutes on that. We will have the drill. So if you're at home, I'm going to do a little announcement to everybody here. All right, I sent out an announcement on GoGuardian that we are moving on. So hopefully you are tuning back into Google Meet. Today we are going to look at the workshop 5 things of geography, because as we're looking at this project, we are continuing to talk about what we need to know for our hero character, okay? We've covered religion. Now today we're covering geography, and tomorrow we're going to cover government. Okay, and all three of those topics will be covered on a test next week. So you need to be taking notes. You need to be keeping this together. You two that just walked in need paper or pencil. No, you need paper. Okay, so but get out the paper because we're about to take notes. Hey, and I'm going to address this really quick. Using the restroom in my class, and I know y'all heard this at home, so I'm going to pause this. All right, getting back into it. So we're going to go. This PowerPoint is available to you, but if you are sitting at home or in class, I'm going to have it on the board, so you don't have to open it up. You can actually shut your computers, so it's not distracting. If you have your computers up, I do expect that it is the PowerPoint on there. So if you open up Civilization Materials, you should see Workshop 5 Themes of Geography. That'll give you a link, and we'll open up a Google Meet. Or not a Google Meet, but a Google Slide. That has it on it. So today we're going to cover the 5 themes of geography to better understand how geography plays a role in civilizations, plays a role in history, and is going to play a role in your character. Did geography play a role in the Odyssey? Yes, it did. And what area of the world, what sea was he on whenever he was sailing around and being pushed around? What was the big name for that sea that's below Europe and above Africa? The Mediterranean Sea, okay? And he's being pushed around this sea, and he goes to real physical islands that actually exist, although on there we start seeing religion play in, and we start seeing mythical creatures and monsters play in. But it definitely plays a role, and it will play a role in your character story. So the first thing I want to talk about is maps. And I want you to look at this map, and I want to hear a response from you all. You can respond in GoGuardian. I'm sorry, not GoGuardian. You can respond in the Google Meet or in class by talking. But what's wrong with this map? Is it a correct map? What's incorrect about it? What do you see? What do you think? Okay, so immediately I have a student, Leonard, who is saying that it's upside down and backwards. Like, it's wrong, okay? Does anyone disagree with Leonard that this map is not wrong, that it's fine? I'm going to say that this map is not incorrect. This map is not incorrect. Or does anybody else want to argue with me? DJ. Okay, so he's kind of mentioning that Canada down here, goodness gracious, looks like the top of it just exploded up like that, right? So that looks wrong. Okay, what else? William. William says that this is just a different perspective, a different view that we're looking at the world. Because technically, it's not wrong. Okay, who says that this is the top part of the world and this is the bottom part of the world? Is that like can you go out in outer space and look at the world and be like, yeah, that's the right side up? Or like if you're floating in space and you're upside down, who says that's the right way up? Javen. Yeah, who says up or down is right or wrong? Okay, Javon says that it's perspective because the world's spinning. But does the world spin on its axis? Does it flip up and down, or does it just rotate east to west? No, it does not flip up and down. It just rotates. Now it tilts, but it never flips upside down. So our North Pole never goes to where the South Pole was. Okay, so that never happens. Okay, that's a good thing to know. Okay, so we don't actually flip. But who says that this map isn't right? Kirby. Yeah. So Kirby says whoever made the map said that it's right or wrong. The cartographers. DJ, what do you have to add?
The seas. They say that it's wrong because the South Sea is at the top, the North Sea is at the bottom.
No, this is the south side of the world, and this is the north side of the world. But we are trained that the north side of the map is on the top and the south is on the bottom. But who decides it? Kirby says the cartographer, Justin? Okay, Justin says that it's a sphere and it might be changing direction. But again, the North and South Pole never switch. They're always constant. William. So this map was, because it's the Russian Federation, I'd say it's within the last 50 years or so. So there are political inaccuracies on this map. I'll give you that. But it being upside down doesn't necessarily make it incorrect, okay? But I'm going to go off of what Kirby said. And Kirby said that it was the cartographers. And who hired the cartographers to make these maps? Who said government? The government. What governments decided that North America and Russia and Europe are on the top half of the map? What governments decided that? Those governments. If you are the ones making the world map, if you're the one exploring the world, are you going to put yourself on the bottom or the top? You're going to put yourself on the top of the map, okay? So what I want you to understand is that mapping, while it is an exact science, like the longitude and latitude of the world and where land masses are next to each other and how they border each other, that is fact. We cannot argue that. But the way we look at a map, the perspective of a map, is all on the humans, all on the historians and the people, okay? So I just want you to kind of think about that for a second, that it's how they have always said that the map should be the other way. And let's think, what if South America, Australia, Southern Africa, what if they were the first ones to really, quantify and map out the whole world and really put that together? The map we might look at today might look like this, okay? So just kind of this phenomenon that I want you thinking about that's kind of interesting. And the map being flipped with the north up isn't necessarily wrong. And I'm not saying it's bad for them to say that north is up on a map, but it's interesting because it's not necessarily correct, right, or wrong. All right, so I need to put myself somewhere y'all can see this stuff. So let's talk about what geography is, okay? So geography is the study of Earth's landscapes, peoples, places, and environments. It's much more than just mapping. And the reason I showed you that flip map is because geography is more than just the mapping, okay? It's how the people understand the world. It's how the places interact with each other. It's how we interact with the environment. And it is a bridge. Geography is a bridge between human and the physical world, okay? So the big things I'd write down here is geography, and I'd say is the study of Earth's landscape, people, places, and environments. And then I'd add to that it is a combination of human and physical geography, okay? So human geography are the people that live there, the people that interact with it, with the land and with how we live, okay? The physical geography is literally the land, the islands, the volcanoes, the rivers, the oceans, the seas, okay? So geography is all around us, and it is this interaction with us, okay? Yeah. Just a ambulance or something. All right, let's stay focused. All right, so there are 5 themes of geography. We're going to go over each of them. The first is location. The second is place. Human-environment interaction, movement, and region. And we're going to go over each of these. So you don't have to jot these down really quick. I'm going to go over each of these. So number 1 is location. Location answers the question, where are we? Okay? So it's the most basic part of geography. And absolute location is latitude and longitude, or global location, or your street address, okay? absolute location equals latitude and longitude on a map, okay? And we can actually go on Google Maps and we can look up our exact latitude and longitude, and we can figure out standing right here, this is my latitude and longitude, okay? So you can just go to Google Maps and it will show you, like, as you zoom in. Remind me at the end, and I'll go and show everybody how that works. But essentially, on the map, we are right here, and if you click down on that spot on Google Maps, it will pop up and show you the exact location, okay? Absolute location can also be street address, okay? Like I was about to tell you where I live. That would be silly. I used to live at 2151 Graham Lane East. I don't live there anymore. I also used to live at 2508 South Cherokee Drive, which is literally about 100 yards that way. I could have walked to work in 30 seconds. So so your home address is your absolute location. Your second is your relative location. So that's described by landmarks, time, distance, direction from one place to another. Okay. So where I live, the relative location of where I live is behind Owensboro Catholic. Okay, so I live on a street behind Owensboro Catholic. Okay, that's my relative location. Okay, well, we could say that Owensboro Innovation Academy is south of Owensboro Middle School. Okay, huh? Yeah, it's kind of like the direction. Okay, or you can say that Owensboro Innovation Academy is 5-minute drive south from the Ohio River. Okay, it's probably more than 5 minutes now. It's probably more like a 10-minute drive, depending on traffic. So we're talking relative location here. So looking at maps again, maps are giving us our location, okay? And looking at, in deeper view, we are used to looking at the Mercator map projection, okay? This is where we see, this looks more normal to us, right? North America, Russia, Asia, Europe, all on the top, the equator going across, and Africa, South America, Australia, Antarctica at the bottom, okay? This is what we're used to seeing, okay? Now, is this map 100% correct? What's wrong with this map? So I have people saying, no, this map isn't 100% correct. As far as location goes, it is correct because you can follow the latitude and longitude of these lines and find our absolute location. What? Yeah, so Skylar says that the sizes are wrong because is Greenland and Iceland or Greenland actually this big? No, it's actually much smaller. Antarctica. Yeah, neither is Antarctica. So the further you get to the North and South Pole on a Mercator map, the more stretched out it becomes. On a Peters map, it actually takes care of that, and it shrinks down the North and South Pole to where everything is equal size, but we don't look at Peters maps, right? How many times have you looked at a Peters map? Probably very few times. Yes, Kate. So, Katie, right? No, yes? Kayla. Sorry, Kayla. Kayla says, well, if the locations are correct, but the sizes are wrong, that doesn't make any sense to me. And that's a good point. But if you take a globe, which is actually, we look like this. This is what our world looks like, right? It's a circle, or it's a sphere, sorry. And you take that sphere and you smash it out. Anybody ever peeled an orange before? And what happens to the peel? Does it flatten out into a perfect square? Well, it's curved, and you have to rip it to flatten it out, and it gets all ripped apart, right? So what happens is when they flatten out that map, they're actually filling in those gaps with more land. Now, technically, although it is stretched out, the latitude and longitude is still correct because they stretch out those latitude and longitude lines on the map. Does that make more sense now? Because they're taking a sphere and they're flattening it out like that, and the things up top are getting stretched. Okay, and we're going to look at how that works on a really cool website in just a second. But if we look at this, and you don't have to write this down, this is just fun facts. It says, despite the values of the Mercator projection, it distorts the size. So a fact is, South America is actually 8 times larger than Greenland. Right here, South America is 8 times larger than Greenland. But Greenland on this map is the same size. Okay? So that's what's incorrect about it. The Peters projection map is an equal area map. It represents areas accurately, but it seriously distorts the shapes. Compare the size of Europe to Africa in the 2 maps. Okay? So again, we can see in this one, Greenland is much more shrink than the other one. Again, I'm just pointing out that there's some perspective in these maps. So this is a really neat website, and you can go into the PowerPoint later and look at it if you want to, but it says, what is the real comparable size of each country? Here's a website you can play with to show the true size. So I'm going to go into this website, and this is called the true size. Anybody ever seen this website? Okay. It's pretty neat, okay? So it has a little video here that shows like how it works. Why is it doing that? I've used it before, yeah. If I can get it to... why is it doing that? All right, hold on. Let my computer catch up. All right, so get my size back. Hold on just a second. Computer doesn't like running all this. So this shows that Africa's true size compared to these nations. So what nation is it, the light green there? What is that nation? The United States of America. What is this yellow one? India. And this orange one? China. So Africa is massive, okay? You can fit all of the United States, all of China, all of India into Africa. It shows you the true size of this area. So let's zoom out here. This is the Mercator map. And look at Greenland. Look how big Greenland is. And I can go over here and type in Greenland, and it will highlight Greenland for me, okay? Now I can go and click on Greenland, and let's drag it to another part of the world and see how it shrinks down and see the real size of it. Yep. So I'm going to take it and see what the real size of Greenland compared to South America. Isn't that wild? Like, Greenland is massive, but whenever you actually drag it on the same part of the map, it shows that it's much, much smaller, okay? Now, Russia's massive too. Russia looks like the largest country on the map, right? Is it actually that big? Okay, here's the thing. Russia is that big. Russia's huge. Now, it's not as big as it looks, but if we bring it down, see how much smaller it is? But it's still massive compared to the United States or compared to other countries. So it's half the size of Africa, okay? But you can see, yes, it is distorted, but Russia is the largest landmass country in the world, okay? You just type it into the little drop box or the little line there. Throw out another country. What do you want to compare the size of a country? I can't do all of Asia. Asia is a continent, so I can't do it. India's on there. Australia's a good one. Okay, so Australia. Let's see how big Australia is. Do y'all think Australia is bigger or smaller than the United States? Y'all think it's bigger? Think it's about the same size? Let's see.
Smaller.
Smaller? It's about the same size, it looks like. Yeah, so it's almost the same size. It's a little bit taller, but it's not as wide because the United States goes up here and over here. So it's pretty close. I bet land mass or land area is probably about equal. Okay, let's look at Canada. Canada looks massive up here. And DJ earlier said it looks like it's exploding up into the north. And if you double click on a country, it disappears. So let's do Canada. All right, so Canada looks massive. Look how big Canada is. What do you want to compare Canada to? Africa. So do you think, let me get rid of these. Do you think Canada, because Canada looks way bigger than Africa right now. Do you think Canada is half the size or smaller? Half the size. Let's see. So Canada's about half the size of Africa. So it's a pretty good sized country. Now compared to Russia, it's almost as big as Russia. So it's pretty big. Which one do you want me to do? That's a good one. So Antarctica. So if we go, oh my goodness. Antarctica looks massive. It's huge. Huge. Okay, what do you want to compare Antarctica to? Russia. Okay, let's go up. Oh my gosh, look how much it's shrinking. So it's still pretty big. Still pretty big. So if we put it over Africa, over the equator, it kind of gives us the true size of it. And compared to Africa, it's about almost a third to two-thirds or to a half the size. Let's do Russia. Compared to Russia, yeah, it's a little bit. But if you compare it to the United States, it's much bigger than the United States. It looks like. You double click on it. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. You can restart the website too, and it'll get rid of them. All right, so we can see. You want to do North Korea? I won't let me do North Korea. Let me do Korea. Korea's way over here. It's little. So let's take Korea over to the United States, and let's see how big Korea is. Yeah, it's about the size of a state. Good. Yep. So it's about the size of Kentucky, a little bit smaller actually. Let's look at another one we've talked about is we talked about Greece whenever we looked at Odysseus. He traveled around Greece. Let's see how big the area that he traveled was. And then we got to move on. So Greece is actually a little bit bigger than Korea, but it's about the size of like Florida. Let's just put it on here. It's like Kentucky and Indiana put together. Okay, so pretty good size. But as far as the country goes, it's quite small. All right, so let's head back to our PowerPoint here. And I hope you found that somewhat interesting. So the next theme, so number 1 was location. Number 2 is place. So place, what is it like there and what kind of place is it? So we have human characteristics of a place, and we have, okay, let's talk about human characteristics. So human characteristics are what are the main languages, customs, beliefs, and how many people live there, work there, visit there. So it's the humans that live there, okay? It's all about who lives there and what makes up these people, okay? The other side of this is the physical characteristics, okay? So like with a place, like landforms, climate, vegetation, wildlife, soil. So let's talk about Kentucky as a place, okay? So what human characteristics is Kentucky known for? Throw out stuff. Okay, bluegrass. What else? Yeah, human characteristics. Okay, southern accent. What else is Kentucky known for? I'll give you a hint. Okay, oh, that's a good one, William. Bourbon. We make bourbon, okay? We're known for horses. Horses. What about basketball? We're known for UK basketball and Louisville basketball. With that, fried chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah. Huh? What is Owensboro really known for? And we host a festival every year. Barbecue. Good, yeah, barbecue. Okay, now let's talk about physical characteristics. Leonard mentioned a physical characteristic a minute ago, the bluegrass. So we have bluegrass, which is a type of grass. Haiti, say it again. Farming, yep. So physical characteristics, we have a lot of good farmland because of where we are in the country. You got to move your hand. What? The Blue Bridge. So that would be a human characteristic. It's not actually like something that the nature or environment created. The river, the Ohio River is a good one. So landforms. What do we mine a lot in the in eastern Kentucky? Coal. Coal is a big one too. Okay. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to go a little fast through these because we've talked about them. Yes, we'll watch the video. So, all right, let's bring it back together.
Yes.
So, how did civilization spread throughout the world? So, whenever we talk about place and we talk about where humans are, we want to look at how civilization spread. So, we're going to watch this video. And it's a few minutes long, but it's going to show us kind of how civilization spread throughout the world. So let's watch this video. So this is 100,000 years ago. Human population began in Africa, and people began to move through. So you see this line down here? That's representing how many thousands or millions of people there are. So we're not even at 10 million people yet. 50,000 years ago, people began to move across the ice bridge because we were in an ice age, and that's how human beings got to North America and began to populate the western side of North America and South America. Now, realize that there are up to, we're talking about 100,000 years ago all the way up to 10,000 years ago, there were less than 10 million people, okay? But by 81, so Common Era, 1 year, the Gregorian calendar fixes that after Christ's death, okay, Jesus Christ's death. So we call that the Common Era. We are at about 170 million people in the world, okay? So we see this spike up, this drive up. Kirby. So Kirby asked, how do they know? How do they know how many people? So archaeologists, historians, scientists are making an estimation, okay? So clearly there is no census saying this is how many people existed. So this is a theory, okay? This is not necessarily proven fact that we can go and look at books and say, here's the facts, okay? But this is the theory. So Kirby, you bring up a good point, okay? So now the reason that we see more people in this time period is because this is where our history picks up, and we can start looking at these civilizations, these river civilizations around the world, and start making estimates on how many people were in the world. So starting from year 1, so each of the dots, I'm going to put myself in the ocean over here, are 1 million people, okay? And we're going to watch how over the last 2,000 years the population ramps up. Haiti. Yes. And we see the Roman Empire, the Han Dynasty, and this is where our numbers, to answer your question, Kirby, start getting more accurate, okay? Because they are starting to take census of the number of people, and we're able to better estimate how many people are in the world. What? So we see a very slow population growth in the beginning, okay? We see the Mayan civilization in North and South America. but still a very slow birth of Islam, which we talked about on Tuesday. So it's still very slow incline, okay? So we are about to hit our first millennia in the Common Era. Gunpowder invented, but human population still going up smoothly. So we hit our first millennia, and you can start seeing that the dots of 1 million people start kind of coming up faster, okay? So what we're going to see is now navigation compass is going to allow for more people to move around. Now we're in kind of coming out of the dark ages. And look, we're going to start really climbing much faster because around this time we start seeing the expansion of empires, and we start seeing expansions starting about in the 13 to 1400s. You're going to start seeing a faster increase, but then the bubonic plague hits, and it hits throughout Europe and Asia and Africa, the Middle East, and we see our dip. So you can see it's been climbing the whole time. Then we see a little dip because of the bubonic plague. Now we see European travel and transatlantic slave trade. And we're going to start seeing these start pop up really radically, really fast. Then we're going to see a real bump up in just a second. Industrial revolution, allowing for greater goods to be created, more population. So look at this climb. So when we hit the 1800s, we started climbing much, much faster. World Wars, you'd think World Wars would slow down a little bit, but it doesn't. And then oh, I'm in the way now. And those are projections, huh? That's a projection. 2015, yeah, so you can see these are projections. So we're going to talk about why northern Russia is not very populated, because it's a frozen desert. So what this goes into, and I'm going to cut it a little short, is we're going into a series of leveling off. So the last 200 years, we skyrocketed in population because, why do you think we skyrocketed in population? What do you think happened the last 200 years? Okay, yeah, you live easier. The Industrial Revolution brings on a lot of things that we didn't have before, like agriculture and safety and medicine and food, and civilizations become more stable, communication. So we see this pop up. Deegan. That dot equaled 1 million people. Yeah, dots equaled millions of people. Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't just a dot. All right, going back. All right, so the question is, why is Europe warmer? So we're talking about place still. If we look at latitude and longitude, is Canada warm or is it cold? Canada. Cold. Canada loves hockey. It's very cold. But if you go over from northern Canada over to Europe, it's much warmer in Europe, even though it's the same latitude. Okay? So why is it that it would be so much colder in Europe, or so much warmer in Europe? And that is because of the Gulf Stream. So the Gulf Stream is this movement of the ocean in which they bring warm water from the south around the Gulf of Mexico, around Cuba, and they move it northward into northern Europe. So it allows for northern Europe to be much warmer. So this is how place really plays into geography. Another good question is modern day Switzerland. So we look at Switzerland, which is right in the middle of the map here, and you were to ask, What countries around Switzerland went to war in World War One and World War Two? Every single country around this small little tiny country went to these massive wars. Why do you think Switzerland's able to stay out of the war? What is it protected by? Okay, so Leonard thinks it's protected by other countries. Anybody have another theory? What does Switzerland have? Very tall what? Mountains. The mountains protect them. So we look at a map, Switzerland has the Alps that go through it. Here's a picture of Switzerland. Do you want to march an army through those mountains? No. They will freeze to death. Okay? And guess what Switzerland invested in whenever it came to World War One and World War Two? Planes and anti-what? Aircraft. So in those mountains, there are anti-aircraft ballistas, essentially, rockets and guns that will shoot down anyone that tries to fly over and bomb Switzerland. Switzerland's beautiful, by the way. What do you think? It's gorgeous. Okay?
Are they still up there?
Yeah.
Why does Greenland have ice and Iceland have green?
So that was a, Deegan, go ahead. Yeah, the Vikings tricked the people and named them opposite so they wouldn't travel to Greenland or to Iceland. All right, let's keep going because we got 2 more or 3 more to go. Yeah, still part of their country, yeah. So human-environment interaction is our third of our 5 themes of geography. Human-environment interaction. How do humans and the environment affect each other? Is the question that's asked here. And the answer is, we depend on the environment. You don't have to write this one down, but the people depend on the Tennessee River for water and transportation, or the Ohio River is the same thing for us. We modify it, and we modify our environment. We heat and cool buildings, and then finally we adapt to it. Okay, we adapt to the environment by wearing clothing suitable for the summer and coats in the rain. Okay? So humans interact with the environment by depending on it, modifying it, and adapting to it. So the big things that I want you to get here is depending on it, modifying it, and adapting to it. You don't have to have the examples necessarily. What's the major way in Kentucky that we depend on the environment? Someone mentioned it earlier that has to do with our land. Farming. We farm in Kentucky and depend on those farmlands. Okay? And we modify the land by cutting down trees and pulling up stumps and removing rocks and boulders. And we plant seeds and soil. Or not soil, we plant seeds to be able to farm that land. Okay, and we adapt. So today I rode in on my bike, and it was raining today, so I wore a poncho. Okay, and I adapted. I didn't just stay at home. I adapted to that environment and got here without it getting soaking wet. So an ancient to modern example of human-environment interaction is farming. Okay, the Nile River had predictable floods in ancient times where they could use rich silt and seasonal planting to harvest crops. Okay, so the Nile River would flood, and when the waters receded, it would bring fresh soil and silt to the ground so they could plant trees. Today, they do something similar, but we use technology. And in southern Jordan, where most of the region can't be farmed because it's a desert, they have these. Okay? So what it is there's circles in which they have water that's pumped all the way out into the desert, and then they feed it through a hose, and there's a hose that goes all the way across the circle, and then they drive a truck around it or a vehicle, and they basically water that entire circle. Anybody ever flown over to the West Coast and looked out they do this in the Midwest of the United States. So that is how they actually plant and grow crops in the desert. This is Jordan in the Middle East. It's pretty cool. All right, our fourth 5 themes of geography is movement. Sorry, Deegan, you have a question? Yeah, I'm sorry, and I might have not said this clearly. You don't have to write every single big piece of this down, but what I would write down is that we have been human environment interaction has been going on since ancient times. Okay, that's a big idea there. An example is the Nile River, and then Jordan, southern Jordan. I don't know. It looks like they're pretty massive. Like that's a big barn right there. So I would guess this is like, I don't know, 10 by 10, like 100, 100 football fields across. So probably like, I don't know, a half hour. Like if you're going slow, who knows though? I don't know. Pretty amazing though. All right, movement is our fourth. And this one's probably one of the easiest to understand. It's just how people move throughout the geography and how ideas and goods move. Okay? So it's human movement, like trucks, planes, trains, information movement, which is through phones, computers, email. And this movement of ideas across the world, has it gotten faster or slower? Much faster, okay? It was much slower back in the day whenever you had to sail across the sea and it took months to get from one continent to another. And today I can send an email and it be in Europe or Asia instantaneously. Then idea movement. How do fads move from place to person? Fads are like fashion ideas. But how do ideas move throughout the world? Yeah, television's a good way they move. Through magazines, through the internet, and move quickly. TV, radio, magazines. We can see this movement is the movement of goods, ideas from place to place. So human movement, information movement, idea movement. And in our next project, when we look at the Renaissance, we're going to see that it boomed when the printing press came out, and then it boomed again in this last few decades with the internet. So movement. Let's skip this slide and that one. We're not going to be able to watch that. So we're going to do the last one, which is regions. Okay? Regions is our fifth theme of geography. Region. So how are regions similar and different from one another? So you have formal regions, which are regions defined by government. So that's like Kentucky, Owensboro, the United States, Greece, whatever governmental entity formed that. So it's formal. They're functional regions, which are like regions defined by a function, like newspaper service areas, cell phone coverage. So if you are a Davis County student or an Owensboro student or an Apollo student, those are functional regions because you're a student within that region. Okay? Even like shopping can be a region. Okay? If you can't find something in Owensboro, what city do you go to? Evansville. So Evansville is kind of in our shopping region. We'll go to Evansville. Okay? It's a functional region. And the last is vernacular region, which is regions defined by people's perceptions, like the Middle East, the South. What is Kentucky? What is its vernacular? What do people call Kentucky? The what state? The bluegrass state. Okay? Owensboro's, some people call it the Big O. Okay? Which can kind of be a vernacular name. Or the barbecue capital of the world. We've kind of self-proclaimed that. Okay? So those are vernacular regional names. Okay? So formal, functional, and vernacular. Now on your Chem chart, numbers 1 through 5 are the 5 themes of geography. Your goal is to align those 5 themes of geography with those definitions. Okay? 1 through 5. And then an easy way to remember the 5 things of geography is to say Mr. Help, okay? So M is movement, R is region, HE is human environment interaction, L is location, and P is place. So a reminder is you need to get your chem chart, and you need to get numbers 1 through 5, and you need to be putting those on your chem chart, okay? So we will probably tap into that tomorrow, okay? So if you are at home, we are done for the day. We're not going to get to the mapping, so we will do the mapping tomorrow because of the lockdown drill. We didn't get to it, and we will get to that tomorrow. So you guys are good to go.